Am I the a-hole? My 47 male son, 28 male, cheated on his pregnant wife, 25 female, and now I'd rather support her than him. My wife, 48 female, and I, 48 male, have 3 kids, and this one is the oldest. Admittedly, we made some mistakes with him. He was unplanned, and we had him very young. We were both balancing school and work, and he was always troubled. I thought we had done some work, mended some bridges, and that he had moved on from the issues of his younger days. When he got married, my wife and I were so happy. We thought she was wonderful and that she brought out the best in him. When they told us earlier this year that she was pregnant, we were thrilled. I couldn't wait to be a grandpa. Well, the pregnancy is now at risk, and my daughter-in-law had to go on bed rest. She can barely get out of bed at all, and my wife, our 2 daughters, 21 female and 17 female, and I have been doing our best to help her, since she doesn't really have anyone else. With her bedridden, we really thought this was my son's chance to step up. Well, he didn't. A few weeks ago, daughter-in-law called my wife and she was really upset. We were worried something was wrong with her pregnancy and rushed over. Well, she showed us his tablet. It was connected to his WhatsApp and he had some very explicit conversations with another woman. Not only that, but he was talking crap about his wife, saying she was faking her pregnancy complications, that only the other woman understood him, and that she was sexy compared to his bloated wife with her stretch marks, and how he would totally leave his wife for this woman once the baby came, and he made sure it wasn't his. He called his wife entitled and complained that she expected him to wait on her hand and foot. He also said that we were giving him the stink eye and lecturing him all the time. So not only did he start spending more time out of the house, leaving us to care for his wife, but he actually went out and cheated on her and then badmouthed her with us while doing it. Again, he cheated on his pregnant, bedridden wife instead of taking care of her. I'm getting angry even typing this. We helped our daughter-in-law pack a bag and brought her to our house. We decided to wait for him to check on her, except he never did. For 2 days, she stayed at our house. My wife took a day off work and my youngest stayed home from school. They've been supporting her as best they can. When 2 days passed and he still hadn't checked in, I went over to his apartment, where I found him just chilling, playing his PS5. I went ballistic. I told him I couldn't believe what a piece of trash I had raised, and that this was no way to treat his family. He just shrugged and said we've always treated him like trash anyway, so this was all our fault, and that his wife was cheating on him first. I asked how he knew that and if he had any proof. He said something ridiculous about her not wanting to quit her job, plus some guy from work looking at her funny at a work event. He insisted there couldn't possibly be any reason for her not to quit her job unless she was cheating. So why should he care about her? I told him those were freaking excuses, and if he really believed that, he wouldn't be pawning off taking care of her onto us. He said it was completely justified because we always treated him like crap and that he didn't owe us explanations. I told him to get screwed, and things got even more heated. It ended with me smashing his PS5 against the wall and him kicking the side mirror of my car as I was driving off. By the time I got home, my wife was crying because he had already called her up, yelled at her, and accused us of kidnapping his wife. He was also demanding that we pay for his PS5, which is insane because we bought it for him 2 years ago for his birthday. My wife was very distraught and it took me a long time to calm her down. The next day, my mother called me because my son had reached out to her. She started admonishing me for not standing up for my son, throwing the whole blood is thicker than water line at me. I told her she could get lost because of our own drama from my childhood. She has no right to call me out, but it's nothing new for her to justify and excuse horrible behavior, like she did with my dad and stepdad. She echoed my son's accusations, and I told her that was rich coming from her. Because her cheating and my dad's cheating are exactly why I know how much damage it can cause to a family. She told me it was in the past. I reiterated that she could get lost because it's literally happening right now. My son is cheating on his wife, and she's giving me grief for it and excusing his behavior. She kept arguing until I got frustrated and hung up. In the weeks since, my daughter-in-law has been inconsolable. She She's been staying with us, and my wife, my youngest daughter, and I have been doing our best to support her. We sit with her, watch TV, talk, and have family meals. But she's clearly devastated. My son has been sending her threats, saying she'll end up alone, unloved, and a single mom if she doesn't come back. It got so bad we told her to block him. When he tried that nonsense with my wife, she told him that the way he was acting, he was the one who would end up alone. We told daughter-in-law we'll stick with her no matter what. As far as we're concerned, she's family, and we love her. She seems grateful but understandably sad. Meanwhile, my son has been pestering us and getting more aggressive until we all just blocked him. My mom keeps bringing up the blood is thicker than water BS. But you know what? F that. Maybe we weren't the best parents to my son. We left him with my mom a lot while we worked and went to school, and maybe he felt neglected. That's probably why he acted out as a kid. But I still can't excuse treating the woman he supposedly loved this way, making up lies about her, and refusing to apologize or make amends. So, to hell with blood. I choose the daughter-in-law who has been nothing but loving and wonderful to all of us and needs us now, over the son who's turned into the worst kind of adult. I said it. My son is a piece of turd, and I think I might hate him. Maybe it's my fault. Maybe I should have been a different parent when he was a child. But this is how things are right now, and I want nothing to do with him. Here I am, looking for validation online. Am I the a-hole? Does my mom have a point? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Your son is just looking for excuses not to be a father. This, regardless of what happened when he was a child, he's an adult now and responsible for his actions. He's just making excuses for acting like a toddler having a tantrum. Stick with your daughter-in-law and grandchild. Go no contact with your mother and son. Leave them to each other. Your anger is justified. Your son's behavior is appalling, and your loyalty to your daughter-in-law is commendable. While no parent is perfect, you've done your best, and now you're protecting someone who truly needs support. Blood doesn't excuse bad behavior, and prioritizing your daughter-in-law's well-being over your son's actions is the right call. You're not in the wrong. At this point, my response would be, what is the best possible situation for my future grandchild? And what do I need to do to make sure that child is secure, loved, and supported? His mother keeps saying blood is thicker than water, and yet daughter-in-law is literally carrying his grandchild. I say protect the daughter-in-law and grandchild at all costs, and that innocent child must be the priority now. The son can go kick rocks. He sounds a lot like my oldest brother who always blames my parents for all his bad choices. Meanwhile, my other two siblings and I have the exact same parents as him, yet we were able to rise above it. Not the a-hole. I'm sorry your son turned out the way he has. Maybe you and your wife did make some mistakes when raising him, but he's an adult now, and he's responsible for his own a-holery. He sounds like a horrible human being, and until he reforms, if he ever does, which is doubtful, all of you deserves the peace his absence from your lives will bring. Next story. Am I the a-hole for exposing my dad and his wife in therapy and airing their dirty laundry to the therapist? My dad and his wife put the step family in family therapy after my dad's youngest stepkid 10 ran away back in June. The push for family therapy instead of individual therapy was because my dad's other stepkids, 16 and 15, were more upset when their half-brother was found, and my brother, 14 and I, 17, weren't all over the youngest when he was found, promising would be better siblings and all that. Let me break down the family history and the dirty laundry I aired. To start with my dad's wife. She was married, had an affair, and her youngest turned out not to be her ex-husband's. When her ex found out, her youngest was already born, and he ended their marriage and fought to remove any parental responsibility for her youngest. Apparently, he knew the real dad or something, and it got messy. Her two kids knew what happened and resented and hated the youngest for it. My dad's wife hates her ex for doing what he did, and she had some legal issues with the biological dad of her youngest. He's in prison now, and it's a whole mess. She knows her older kids hate the youngest, and she tries to encourage them to have a better relationship. But her older two wish the youngest had died a long time ago. They blame him and their mom for the family falling apart. Her ex-husband has the older two 50% of the time. Then there's the three of us. My mom ended herself when I was 7 and my brother was 4. My mom had a terrible childhood and was abused by 3 adult members of her family. She and my dad told me a very PG version of it when she was alive, and I had asked why she had no family. When I look back on her life, there was always a sadness and fear around her. She was in therapy for a long time, but I think she still had demons she hadn't fully healed from. Then she was violated and got pregnant from it. I only remember this because of my dad. He was so angry when he found out she was pregnant that he basically called her a bunch of names and said he wasn't raising the spawn of some evil a-hole like that, and he left my mom. I don't even think she wanted to keep the pregnancy, but being violated again and my dad leaving her pushed her over the edge. After she passed, and my dad realized I was aware of too much of what had happened, he told me I could never tell my brother. He also said I should find a way to forgive him for what he did. When I met his wife, the two of them acted like mom was selfish and didn't love us enough. That led to me and my dad fighting a lot. For whatever reason, they were never careful about talking about his wife's history either. When we were in a therapy session 2 weeks ago, they said it didn't feel like we became a family when they got married, and they felt bad because the youngest was being the most affected. They said there were 0 reasons why we should be resisting becoming a family so much. That's when I brought up everything in front of the therapist, right there in the middle of the session. I told her about my dad's wife cheating, having a kid with someone else, apparently someone with a record who's now serving time, and how her kids hated her and her youngest for it. I mentioned how he hates her ex. Then I brought up my mom and what my dad did after her attack. I talked about the things they say to try to make my brother and me closer to my dad's wife. I also said a reason we never became a family is because 2 repulsive people keep trying to run away from all the crap they've done. After the therapy session, my dad's wife wanted me out of the house. My brother wanted to come with me, and now we're staying with our uncle. But my dad has shown up twice since then, trying to drag us back to therapy. My brother and I have both refused to go, and that's only made my dad and his wife angrier with me. They said I should be willing to face the consequences of airing the dirty laundry and that I was wrong to say all of that to the therapist. So, am I the a-hole? I'm asking because we were all there when I said it, and that might be wrong, especially with a 10-year-old hearing it, and my brother learning just how bad our dad really is. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry you had to carry that burden of knowledge about your dad's and stepmom's true characters for so long on your own. I would encourage you to ask your uncle to help you get into individual therapy to help you process everything. As for your POS dad and his wife, screw them. Their actions are what brought them to this place, not yours. All of the kids have a right to know who their parents truly are. Be well, OP. Speculation on my part, OP, but your dad and stepmom sound like the type who think therapy is there to fix you kids and get you all in line, with no real implication for them. In reality, it's the parents who often need the most help in understanding themselves and shaping their own attitudes. You're so spot on that their desire to rug sweep and run from their problems is the massive issue here. I applaud your wisdom. I hope the so-called adults in this situation take some time to look in the mirror. Seems to me that your dad and stepmother went into therapy thinking they could use it to force the kids to become the happy blended family of their fantasy. It's all about surface appearances to others. Last story. Am I the a-hole for the role I played in getting me and my younger siblings removed from our parents? Me, 15 male, and my younger siblings, 10, 8, 7, and 5, were taken from our parents a couple of months ago. I have another sister, 16, and she was a big part of the reason. Ever since I can remember, she's always done things to hurt people. It didn't matter who it was. She'd lash out and hurt them. I never got hurt because I was about the same size and could push her off, but she hurt our parents and other kids before, and when we had younger siblings, it was the same. A few years ago, she was in the hospital for a while, and when she came back out, our parents sat me down and told me she had something called a conduct disorder, and it's why she is the way she is. They didn't explain it to me, but I looked it up and it fits my sister a lot. When she came home, we were given a caseworker who would come by to help my parents find resources and make sure things didn't get so bad that someone had to leave the house for good. She was never around during the bad stuff. Ever since my younger sister 10 started crawling, I had to protect her if my older sister tried to hurt her. Then it was my other siblings too. My younger siblings would sleep with me or in my room because they were afraid of our older sister. I don't feel like my parents ever did enough to keep my younger siblings safe. That was on me. I didn't mind doing it for a long time. Even when the caseworker would ask, I wouldn't be as open about how bad things were and how much stuff happened. Now I regret it, but I thought I could do a better job. My older sister is getting more dangerous, though. One time I got home late, and my siblings had locked themselves in my bedroom because they had a family laptop for schoolwork and my sister wanted it. My mom was trying to calm her down, but it wasn't working, and she was really losing it. When I got her away from my room, I got inside and locked the door again. I was able to comfort my siblings enough that they fell asleep. I think they were so afraid it just made them tired. Then I called the caseworker and told her it was getting worse, how bad things really were, and that we were locked in our room. She came to the house with someone else. They talked to each of us, and after a couple of days we were told to pack some stuff because we'd be staying with family. My aunt and uncle took my younger siblings, and my grandparents took me. My grandparents couldn't cope with all of us, and my aunt and uncle didn't want me. Since we were removed, not only are my parents mad at me, and I'm mad at them too, but my aunt and uncle blame me because my siblings miss me. They feel like I put this big burden on everyone because I got us taken away from our parents. I try to see my siblings as much as I can, but I'm also dealing with stuff that's coming to light more. I'm in a really bad place mentally, and I'm not sleeping like I should be. But my aunt and uncle keep saying I'm not there for my siblings enough. And since I'm the reason we were taken away, I should be taking it more seriously. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. If your aunt and uncle want you to see the siblings more, then they should have let you live there. You did the right thing. If your older sister had really hurt one of your younger siblings, you would always wish you had done exactly this. CPS might be able to help you with your mental health and other things right now. It might be worth reaching out to them and asking. You can also tell them if you think your aunt and uncle aren't fit to care for your siblings. They always want to keep children with family, but sometimes that's not what's best for the kids. OP, tell your aunt and uncle to take your older sister so you and your siblings can live together at home. Then they only have to worry about one kid. I'm sure that'll be no problem for them. You aren't the person who got y'all taken away. She was. You did the right thing. And screw your aunt and uncle. They didn't have to live in fear like y'all did. Why don't they just take your violent sister so you and your siblings can go home? I bet they'd say no. Your sister needs to be in the hospital. They said they would never, but I'm supposed to keep protecting my siblings so we can all be together. Only I can't be there all the time. I wasn't there the day I had to call. Scared the crap out of me.